Good morning, everyone. My name's Jennifer Cross, and I'm here with Dr. Robert Forsyth and Dixie Andelin Forsyth, and they are going to be speaking with us today about some topics that came in over the weekend when we did the live videos. Now, what you might not know about Dr. Forsyth is he is a neuropsychologist and an expert in the brain, how the brain is built and how it works. And it's been tying in really nicely with what Dixie is doing with the fascinating Womanhood pro-feminine movement and the new books coming out, and helping to explain why the principles work so well. So that being said, we're so great to have you here talking with us today. And first question is, how can I appreciate or respond to my husband when he is bossy and sometimes insulting to me?
Okay.
Should I start off with this?
Yeah, I thought it'd be great for him to kind of explain some potential things that may be going on, and then I'll...
Oh, perfect.
W principles, okay.
I talk about a little bit more generally. I don't know all the specifics of a situation, but for me, typically a man who is bossy, it's amazing, but it's a lot about wanting to avoid feeling like a victim. Now you think, how do victim and bossy go together? Because in a way, a bossy person, in a sense, is victimizing somebody else. But maybe I can give you an example just real quickly here that I remember a man that I worked with that when he was really young, his father was extremely bossy, demanding, controlling, critical, really verbally mean. And he was so afraid of his father, he could not really take his father on. And so he just constantly felt this horrible feeling of feeling like he was a victim in this situation, and he was powerless and helpless. Couldn't do anything. So what he did, the way he coped, without maybe realizing it, was at school, he started to maybe be kind of bossy and in a sense controlling with other kids at school. He even took on the principal, trying to kind of run the school in his own way, because he couldn't do it with his dad, and he hated the feeling of being a victim. So now he was in the power position. And so when he was bossy, he didn't feel like a victim anymore. It felt kind of good. Like, I'm not vulnerable here. So if you kind of realize that a bossy person probably has experienced either some kind of situation where they feel helpless or they can't do anything, or it may be somebody in a relationship with them, like a parent or something, but it may just be themselves. It may be something in their life that is out of control. They feel like it's kind of overpowering them, and they hate that feeling of, maybe it could be substance abuse, where they even though they may say they don't want to get into trouble with this or have problems with it, they still feel like it kind of overwhelms them, and certain things trigger, and before they know it, they're doing it again. And it might be eating. It could be pornography, where a person is feeling like, I know this isn't really a good idea, and I'm looking at things I probably shouldn't be, but it just sort of overwhelms me. So if you ever feel like you're in a sort of a helpless or vulnerable position, sometimes you will try to get out of that feeling because you hate that feeling, and you'll get into a place where you are more in charge, and maybe it's controlling somebody else, or maybe it's trying to control or be bossy about everything around you, because then you feel more empowered. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but...
Yes, definitely, absolutely. Now, I have a question. Do men feel more vulnerable or have a problem managing that emotion of vulnerability than women? Or is that pretty much a terrible feeling for both man and woman?
Both men and women have this capacity to go on survival. In other words, where you almost feel like you're being threatened, and I'm sure you've heard of fight or flight. You go into that mode of something. I'm feeling vulnerable here somehow. Personally, I think men tend to be a little more wired up in that regard, because they have certain brain and body chemistry that increases their could you say intensity of that emotion of protection.
Okay.
They'll fight to the death almost.
That's sensitive pride. that Fascinating Womanhood
Right,
talks about.
right.
Okay, so it's
Okay.
not that women don't have it. It's just that men, because of their masculinity, are really sensitive to certain things.
Very sensitive, and
Yeah.
it's an intensity. And I think that's why I say that a lot of the things I've learned about the brain, how it works, and how it affects us, how we interact with ourselves in a sense from our own brain management, it really ties into Fascinating Womanhood, because a lot of neuropsychology or psychology is trying to understand what's going on, but there's not always great ideas as to what to do about it. Sometimes in psychology, it's more trying to help a person figure that out themselves. Fascinating Womanhood has a whole, I guess I could call it almost a relationship technology that's there and ready to go, and it works. And if we combine what Fascinating Womanhood is saying and look at the psychological reasons or underpinnings of it, it works. Now, I can tell you why, but in a way, I just say, hey, this works, do it.
Wow. It's not just that. It also, you can do it with charm, and you can actually make your relationship better. And that's what makes it so amazing, that just talking to somebody so they understand it is just sort of maybe like, we're going to put it on a neutral level. Fascinating Womanhood can deepen your relationship with that person as a result of how you deal with it.
Right. Yeah, like for example, I'm talking about understanding men here, and victimhood and vulnerability and all that stuff. But what you talk about is understanding men and how to apply that in a relationship to make it really sparkle.
Somebody you love. They're doing it. This person's husband's, it's a husband and wife. He's doing that with somebody that he married, that he loves. So she's in a unique position to understand. If she understands these principles, she can diffuse or soften and also set boundaries, because some people think Fascinating Womanhood is about just being a doormat. That's not at all, not remotely. Women are of immeasurable value, and you shouldn't be stepped on. And that's where, if you understand, the more you understand your husband, the more you will not so much just think, oh, okay, this is what's going on, and this is what I can do about it. For example, in this person who posed this question about him being bossy. Well, okay, two chapters in Fascinating Womanhood are perfect for this. Understanding man first.
Okay.
And childlikeness. And if he really is a mean person, then you might have to go a step further. But let's just assume that he's human. He's basically a good guy, but he gives himself the luxury of doing that, and I'm sure he doesn't feel good about himself after he does that either.
He may not even understand.
No, probably doesn't even understand it. So childlikeness could be perfect for this. And also, before that, understanding men. Go back and read the chapter on understanding men, their sensitive pride. Now, the person who wrote this question knows more about the husband's background, what he went through as a child, and those things than we don't even know.
Or if he's struggling with something else in his life.
And it's in work or something. We don't know anything about that. But we stick to core principles and understanding men, and then childlikeness and saucy ways. I would suggest she be saucy with him, like, the nerve, how dare you talk to me that way? I'm gonna burn your food. I mean, I'm gonna burn your toast tomorrow if you treat me like that. I'm
gonna put fabric softener in your socks when I wash them.
But you cannot be bitter when you say these things. You have to do it in a saucy, childlike way.
Yeah.
And if you do it with venom, it's no good. It's no good. It's just venom. And that causes men to be more protective of themselves instead of.
Yeah.
If I push Dixie sometimes, one of the things I kind of love that she probably doesn't really know is that when she doubles up her fist, it's so little, it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Let me see your. Give me a fist. Yeah, look at your fist. Yeah. I don't know. She'll sometimes go, how can you say that? She'll double up her fist. And I just have to laugh.
I can see it in your face that you do. That's adorable.
Well, one of the things, it's kind of interesting. years ago, my brother, he's a really wonderful guy, but he paid my older daughter for a summer job. She was going to college. He paid her to make a movie because there were so many cousins around. He paid her to make this movie of the Scarlet Pimpernel. Some of you have seen that movie. It's so good. And so, unfortunately, they picked a movie that was set in the 1700s, so we had to make all these costumes, and it was a huge project. It was all summer long. They did location shots all over the place, but they didn't have enough boys to play all the male parts. So our daughter Gina played a guard. She had two different parts. She played a prison guard, and she tried to be so masculine and
talk in a low voice.
She went like this. When they found that the Scarlet Pimpernel had helped someone escape, she went like this, like a girl did. And all the boys, like I said, she's trying so hard to be like a boy, but she couldn't do it.
No.
It became really amusing for them to watch it because they like to watch it over and over, because here's Gina trying to be
a man.
Yeah, and she had no idea that was her acting.
She wasn't trying to be funny.
She wasn't trying to be funny. It was cute. It was cute. She just, and of course men wouldn't do that. And so that's when you use your femininity to express yourself, and you're talking to somebody that you love. You're not talking to some weirdo in line at the grocery store. And even if you were, you will do a lot better if you use the feminine touch rather than the venomous touch.
It's feminine assertiveness to me.
It is.
It's a little different approach than sort of just aggressive.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it is. Why would you do something that doesn't work? I mean,
and you attract more bees with honey. It's that.
Well, you're still expressing yourself. You're putting your point across, like, don't treat me like that. But you're doing it with charm and with childlikeness, and it can actually, it lets him know that he stepped over the boundaries.
Good.
It lets him know very clearly, but it also makes him feel protective.
Yeah.
It's a win. It's a win-win situation.
Win-win.
Yes, so
that is wonderful. Thank you so much. This was a great little segment. All right, well, we'll be back. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.